Hi, everyone. I am Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute. Welcome to our Cuisine of Different Cultures. My coworker, Christina Bell, has been gracious enough to host and make the dish today, red beans and rice. I'm really excited. But first, we're going to watch a short video on the Atlantic Institute. Our vision is of a peaceful world, and let's see that video. Share screen. Oops.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding and are a mainstay of our programming. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We are always seeking ways to educate youths and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events, so come join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
All right, I am excited to say that we are not only accepting volunteers, we always accept volunteers, but we are in the process of hiring across the United States now, a few more people to help with our vision and our mission. So if you're interested in applying for that position, it's part-time. Please put your email address in the chat for me, and I will send you the application form. It's on Google Forms. You don't have to have experience. We will train you. And it is, like I said, just part-time. So it's something you can do alongside another job, or if you're a mom with lots of kids, or a retiree, or a college student, practically anybody could do this. And so we are really excited about this because we really want to expand the Atlantic Institute. So again, if you're interested, just send me your email address in the chat, and you can send it just to me. And I'm going to now turn this over to Christina for our Cuisine of Different Cultures class.
Thank you very much, Paula. All right, so welcome everybody. I am Christina. I think a lot of you are familiar with me, that you've been on some of the other classes, different events that I've held. So I am stepping in, and I told Paula I would show you guys how my background is, my mother is German and my father is Cuban. And so we had a lot of different cultural food in our house. We would very often have white rice, black beans, chicken, plantains, cucumber salad, potato salad. You know, we had a mix and variety of Cuban and German foods, as well as other foods. And so one of the dishes that we had,
All right, it looks like we lost Christina. She's coming back in now. Sorry about that.
I don't know what the heck I did. So, of course, the other person that works for Atlantic Institute would mess this up. This is perfect timing. All right, so one of the dishes that we used to learn a lot or do a lot was this Puerto Rican style rice, and we learned this at a parties that we went to. We went to, when I lived in Florida, we went to a lot of Latin parties. They're the type where like the family clears out all the furniture from the living room and everything's all cleared out and the music is going and they have food going and everybody's bringing something. And one of the things that was always brought was this Puerto Rican style rice and beans. And so my mother learned how to cook it. And years ago, when I got married, everybody made me this book. And so this is her Mama Joy's Rice and Beans. All right, and my mother wrote it like this to confuse me. So she purposely did tell me that. So she wrote it so that there wasn't incredibly good directions so that I would have to call her and ask her for help. So I'm just telling you, I'm going to give you as best as I can of the instructions. I actually do pull this out sometimes because I have to remind myself how many cups of rice go with how many cans of kidney beans, because I do sometimes forget. So I'm just letting you know that this is where it's at. There's not a whole lot of detail in there about how much, because she wanted me to call her and ask her for help. So we always stick it right here. It's part of good luck. All right, so we have over here, we have enough oil to put in the bottom of the pan. All right, we have about, this is a Vidalia onion. This is a big onion. So I cut up half of it. If you can see, this is what my hand looks like, and this is about half of it. Then I have 2 cups of rice that I've already measured out. Then I have minced garlic. I have a can of dark red kidney beans. And then I have some requesito. All right, this is one of the main ingredients in this. And I can just tell you that there have been times that I have had to, I only use this for this recipe. I probably should put it in more food, but it seems to be the thing that I only use in this recipe. So I use a little bit of it and then it goes in the fridge and then it molds over and then it goes in the trash. So the stores don't have smaller containers of this for me. So what I sometimes do when I don't have this, and this is a cilantro cooking base, it's usually, yeah, it has green bell pepper, onion, food starch, soybean oil, granulated garlic, citric acid, oregano. Oh, it has. So sometimes what I've done in the past is I've gotten my food processor out and I have actually just processed up a bunch of cilantro, oregano, onion, and green pepper into a liquid, and then I've just kind of substituted it for that. And usually I do like 2 or 3 garlic cloves, but for the ease of doing this today, I just bought minced garlic. I thought that was just easier. And then the other thing that you need is the sazon. I will tell you, yes, I know I'm half Cuban, but I don't exactly know what the differences are. I just know, and I don't read Spanish. I speak a little tiny bit. I just know you get the one with the yellow on the top on the box. There's 2 kinds. I believe this one is the one that tells you that it will give the food that you're cooking color. If anybody on here is Spanish or knows that for sure and you want to chime in, please feel free to put that in the chat, just so that we can have it complete, so I can have it complete. All right, so here, I'm gonna give the phone to my daughter. And here, go over the pot for me. So we're gonna start off with putting the oil in the bottom of the pan. This is my rice pot. you want to use your rice pot. You know, usually we all have our favorite rice pot. So this one is my rice pot. I've already got it hot. This is my rice pot because I got this pot from IKEA many years ago. I love it because I can add food on top as rice is cooking, and I can I can steam stuff in there. All right, so we're gonna add that. We're gonna add the oil. We're gonna add the onions. All right, and see, I'm not even using all of it. I'm adding the onion to where there's a coat of onion on the bottom. All right, so hopefully you can see like there's a layer of onion on the bottom in the oil. There was a layer of oil and a layer of onion. All right, the next thing I'm gonna do is do like, this is one of those recipes you go into your ancestors tell you to stop. So this is like 1, 2, probably 3 scoops of garlic. I like garlic a lot, so this would be 3 scoops of garlic. You have to use your wooden spoon for this. This is your very trusted wooden spoon. And so you're going to cook up the garlic and the onion. And I had this on a little bit higher, but I put it down to 3 or like medium, a little bit below medium on my stove. All right, so we've got this cooking, and you know you have enough when the bottom of your pot is pretty much just covered. It's a good layer on the bottom of the pot. You don't need to do more than that. All right, then we have the potato. All right, so this again is like 1, 2. This is a teaspoon, by the way. 2, like 3 teaspoons or so of the Rican. Here, and it's a little bit more. We'll just do 4 because I haven't used this one in a while. And see, that's usually all I end up using from this, and then I end up, you know, so I should probably make other stuff.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you think it'd be possible to use some of that remaining ricotta in making homemade salsas?
You might be able to. I mean, it says it's for rice, beans, soups, chili, and stews. So I would maybe use a little bit of it.
Yeah, I was just thinking the cilantro and the green pepper, and that would be things you could put in salsa. I think you might be able to use some up that way.
Yeah, I probably could. It might be good. And I probably, when I make chicken, like later tonight when I make chicken, I might go ahead and put some on there on the skin of the chicken just to see how that does.
That should be good.
I'm not sure because I don't buy it often because it ends up getting wasted. All right, so if you've ever been with me on some of these shows that we've done, I tend to be a little bit of an overachiever. We did a life skills for teens class. Yeah, I might be able to freeze it. I've never paid attention to what I could actually do with it. It just always went in the fridge because it was open. I might be able to freeze the recajito. I'm not really sure. It says add a generous tablespoon per serving to your recipe. Goya blends cilantro, green pepper, onion, and garlic and oil to create this rich, thick base that enhances the flavor of your beans, rice, soups, and stews. So probably what I'll do is practice and add this to everything, and my children will just be so happy with me, with the face my child is making while holding the spoon. All right, so you're getting this cooking now. So I was trying to say, I did a life skills for teens class back in January, and I was in here and I had literally had like 4 pots in the stove and I had all these different dishes cooking. So I tend to overachieve with what I want to show you guys. I get excited. I'm just decided I'm making the base. This is the basic the rice and beans. All right, but there are times that at this stage right here, I have had a kibasi and I have cut it up into triangles. Like, you cut it into rounds and then cut them into fourths. And I have sauteed and cooked kibasi in here. I put a little less oil when I've done that because you have the oil, the grease in the kibasi. I've put that in here. You can put ground meat in here. Sometimes I cook that separately and I might add that in here. I've also seen where we've done shredded chicken and we've added that in here. I just figured, let me not overwhelm myself and everybody else and just show you how to make one thing. But the staple for this is the dark red kidney bean. We have done gondole beans, which are those little tiny like pigeon peas, and we've also done chickpeas, just so you know. I mean, we have done different beans in the past, but we don't always do that. Somebody else add a chat? My question to you, freeze it in small single serving bags and use in different recipes, or share leftovers with a neighbor. We do that a lot and everyone has fun. Yes, I actually have 26 pounds of onions that I got the other day that I have to give to some of the neighbors. So we give quite a bit to neighbors around here. All right, so back to this. All right, so I am cooking this up. You're gonna cook it till the onions are kind of clear. It's usually how we always cook onions and stuff in a recipe. This is at the phase where it smells really good, because in my opinion, garlic and onion and cilantro and all that stuff smells really yummy. All right. So this is 1 can of dark red kidney beans. All right. And now what you are doing. Yeah, I know. Mom, sorry. Here, hold on. Sometimes I can change it by putting my hand something in front of it. She said the lighting went crazy. Ooh.
It is going crazy.
Is that it? No, it's because all right. So I'm gonna pour this whole can of the dark red kidney beans and the liquid, all right, into the pot. All right. All right, I'm gonna turn this up a little bit more just because I have more in here. So I have this up to medium. And I'm gonna add this here. And I'm gonna cook this till it boils up too. Just add a little drop of oil that's left in the thing. All right, I always just do one thing at a time. So I am adding the kidney beans. I just want it to bubble up a little bit. Here, and because I clean up, I'll let you guys watch this. I'm just gonna throw this away because I clean up like that. All right. I'm just gonna put the lid back on my garlic.
They're wondering if they have dry red kidney beans, if they need to cook them first or if they can cook it with this.
You need to go ahead and cook those first because this will suck up all of the liquid. So you need to cook the kidney beans first. I think those soak for like a day or two or something like that. You soak those and rinse those a couple of times. You just want to make sure that they're not going to suck up any liquid. So this is what's kind of fun, what's different about this, which is what gets me caught up every once in a while. You know, when you make rice, you usually do like 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, or 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of water. Because we have the liquid in here from the can of beans, and we have that little bit of oil that we had in here before, you are going to have equal parts rice and equal parts water, because this liquid is going to be part of the liquid that you would have normally been like that 2nd cup of water. So I don't know how that works. I just know like the liquid in the can of the beans also accounts for the liquid that would be part of the rice. So I don't know if hopefully that makes some sense. All right, and there. We are starting to bubble some more. Now, this is Saison. All right. This dyes is going to dye. So whatever you use, I use coconut milk. Very cool. This is going to dye what you're making, like a reddish orangish color. That's part of what this does, is what makes it like yellow rice. So sometimes like I can use the wooden spoon, but if you have like nice cookware, you want to use something that was like black or something that it's not going to stain it and transfer it. Most good cookware now doesn't do that. All right. So my mother only put on her recipe over here. Oh, she did put 2 packs of Goya Saison. So she did help with that much. But sometimes I will only do 1, depending on how much I want. If I'm doubling this, I don't double this. I do 3 instead. Just because it's a powerful seasoning. But for this, I'm going to follow her recipe. I'm almost thinking when I do this, I might just only use 1 packet, but I'm going to follow what she says right now. All right, so this is starting to boil. Again, I'm going to stir it around. It helps if you have on some Spanish music in the background when you do this, because it helps you channel all of your heritage. Now, I don't, because when I go to upload this to Zoom will end up saying I can't upload it and share. But we tend to have lots of conversations around our culture or our heritage when we make something, like, you know, and we tend to have some music on and we might dance for a second, or, well, I'll dance and everybody, the girls will think I'm silly. So then I will, I do this like this. I want the coloring, I want the seasoning with the coloring to kind of blend with everything else, so that when I put the rice in, it's coming into something, it's not going in last after the rice. I will say, like, there's just a different thing when it goes in after the rice. As far as spreading the seasoning around, it's kind of like, you know, you don't stick cornstarch in a whole pot. You stick it in a small section and you whip it up so that I forget what the word is, so that it melds all together, and then you stick it into the bigger pot. So I get this going. All right, and you can see like how I've got some orange going on this. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and do the rice first. I'm going to stick the rice in here, mainly because I want the rice to first absorb all of the spices and seasoning in here, right? So that is 2 cups of rice. Many times when I make this, I do have it doubled. So, and I'm going to mix this up in here. You could use saffron or turmeric. I have, like what I've said, no, I have, you could use saffron or turmeric. There is other flavors in here. Because I know sometimes we don't always want all the artificial stuff. Cilantro is the big thing in here, I think. Everything else is Spanish. I can't read it. Dehydrated garlic, cumin, coriander, and colors. We did have a period of time that we didn't eat colors. Now, yes. My daughter said it looks good and she wishes she could smell it. I wish you could smell it too. All right, so although I am half Cuban and I grew up eating rice all the time, I still have a hard time making rice sometimes. So I find that when I cook it kind of like this first, and then I add the water in, it will absorb the water better. All right, and I always flatten it out and not be crunchy. Like, you know, it won't be crunchy or it won't be too soggy. So I've cooked it up.
So,
and I-
Christina, I have
Yeah.
a rice maker, like a rice
Yeah.
cooker. And so probably I would saute everything, dump that in, and then the rice and let it go. Would that work?
If you rice cook with other stuff in there, see, like this has other stuff in it. So you
Yes.
might have to change the ratio of water. You might have to change some of that. So then I kind of lay it all down flat, and then I put my water in. So now I'm gonna just do the 2 cups of rice, right? The 2 cups of water. It's kind of like using the Instapot, like I use the Instapot for things. All right, and then I'm gonna turn this up to high because I want this to boil now. So this, you can rinse rice. I have rinsed it before, and this was rinsed. So I have done that. All right, so this is known for sticking to the bottom of the pot. So I think just because there's heavy ingredients in here. So I stir it every once in a while, but I will tell you that in the Puerto Rican culture, that the stuff that sticks to the bottom of the pot is considered a delicacy. And many times the women in the kitchen will argue over who's going to scrape and eat some of the stuff, the burnt stuff on the bottom. I don't know about, I don't know about making this in an Instapot. I'm more talking about how, you know, when you make stuff in the Instapot, you have to adjust for water, the water ratio for rice and for pasta. So, so now I've stirred it around. I know it's boiling. It's heavier because of all the beans in there. Yeah, I can hear it boiling. And so then you stir it, you let it boil, and then you pretty much lower it to only medium low, which on my stove is 3. And then technically you cover it and you leave it for 20 minutes and it's done. So I was trying to make one ahead of time so that you could see it. And then I thought, I just don't have the time because I had to teach the other class this morning, but I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna go to, because I'm probably gonna come back and stir it here in a few minutes. I know that a lot of times you're told not to stir rice, but certain rices I still stir. So this one I would probably stir midway through just to make sure that everything is being, the water is distributing itself evenly through the food. So I thought, since that's kind of it, what questions do you have, or what other things have you made that you might have a question on? I'm going to stick my timer on here.
And when it's done, it'll look like behind me, correct, Chrissy?
It look like what's behind you, yes. Yeah, that picture I just got off the internet, because at the time when I said I would do this, I had actually already made, had some of this in the fridge, but it just didn't really look good enough that I wanted to take a picture of it because it had been eaten for a couple of days. And I had made ones that had the sausage in it. So I do, a lot of times I'll make like the 1-dish dinner, and I will make the kibasi and I'll cut it all up and I'll stick it in there and I'll have the sausage with it. And for me, this always goes, for me, this goes with chicken. We always grew up having this with chicken and cucumber salad. So that was a lot of the staple that we had with this kind of rice and beans. And then wait, let's go over. Another good cooking tip for cooking rice on the stove is to cover the pot with aluminum foil and then put the lid on. Any gravy on the side. Okay, so my mother was, I don't think Germans were raised with a lot of gravy. So she did not ever make gravy, and she was not a fan of gravy. But now my boyfriend is, he is Southern. And so I end up making quite a bit of some gravies. I don't know if you're from the South, you make this grease gravy, they call it down here. Um, it's kind of like when you, and which I get would be like a Southern, yes, I know and yes. Oh, so Yolanda, you're saying that helps retain the steam. That would be putting the aluminum foil on top, which yes, I get. And I might try that another time or two. Um, but anyway, this grease gravy is like when you fry up something, you what's left in the pan afterward, like all the drippings that are left in the pan, they add like flour and to it and cook it up and they make kind of like a roux. And then they add water to it and whisk it until it's all liquid like a gravy would be. So I've learned how to make that the past couple of years because for him, whenever he eats rice, he always had gravy. And I've told him I grew up eating rice every day. And if I would have had gravy every day, good Lord, that would have been a lot of gravy. That'd have been a lot of work. So I have learned how to make that because I know sometimes if the rice doesn't come out the greatest, you can have gravy that you might put on top of it too. That helps to give it some flavor. But I haven't. I don't have gravy with this. Usually we had salad, chicken, rice and beans, and then we'd have like cucumber salad. So let me just see. Oh, yes. What if you're going to use the saffron or the turmeric for color, you want to make sure you have some other kind of seasoning that is going to be mimic some of the flavor of the saison. The saison, a lot of times I've taken one packet of saison and I've put that in like a can of, like if I've done black beans, I've put that in my black beans to help season that up. So I've done that as an extra thing to help season up, like because it's just a can of black beans to me seems kind of yeah. But I know some people put cumin in their black beans. Some people, I made beans one time from scratch where I soaked them and made them all once. And I know I should do that more because we do have our own garden. We make our own yogurt, our own bread. We have chickens and ducks, and I probably should do beans from scratch. But sometimes it's just so much easier for me to just get a can of black beans still. Any other thoughts or questions?
You've mentioned the cucumber salad a few times. What is that?
So I was just going to say, sometimes right now while the rice is cooking, I will actually add the steamer pot piece that I have on top of this, and I will put broccoli in there, and I'll use part of the steam sometimes to make broccoli too. Yeah, it is easy to make when you have the ingredients on board, which sometimes when I didn't used to have recajito, I would be stuck. And that's why I would just take peppers. And last time I even had those sweet peppers, like in the fridge, like I've taken like these sweet peppers, because I get these at the store often. And I've taken those and I put those in the little slicer and dicer with onion. And I've gotten some oregano from the garden and basil from the garden. And I would dice that up in that machine and make my own kind of recajito paste. I didn't have cilantro. Now I'm realizing, well, maybe that would have made a difference, but I think it came out fine. It's just something that adds a little extra flavor. All right, so cucumber salad is a German dish, and you are going to use a mandolin slicer, or if you are really good, you're going to slice cucumbers really super thin, like paper thin. So usually you use a mandolin slicer, you peel the cucumber, you slice it with them into a bowl, and then you salt it, like heavily salt it, and you use your hands a lot of times, and you're going to crush it up. You're going to mix it all up, and then you're going to let it sit for an hour or two or something like that. And all the salt is going to pull the liquid out of all the water out of the cucumbers. And then you're going to drain that and rinse it. And then I would taste a piece just to see, is it salty? Because sometimes it might hold the salt, sometimes it doesn't. If it's salty, if it has some salt flavor, you can leave it the way it is, and then you would add a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of a splash of vinegar and mix it all up and eat that. If it didn't retain any of the saltiness, then you would put some salt in it, and like you can do lemon juice too sometimes, but lemon juice still draws, so you don't need to really draw more. But like vinegar and olive oil is pretty much it. And then some salt and pepper, a little bit of black pepper. And so we would have that. And we have that quite often only because cucumbers are really healthy for you. We did not remove the seeds of the cucumbers. I know that you can, but we were slicing very thin with the mandolin slicer. So it's kind of tough to remove the seeds for that. And I will tell you that when you crush it all up and when you salt it and when you strain it, a lot of the seeds do come out. And that's fine. You can let those, you can let those go, but they don't, but we didn't remove them. All right, I'm just checking this. I have like 2 minutes left to go, or 3 minutes left to go on 10 minutes, just to kind of look at it midway. So this is what it's looking like. This is what it's looking like now. Okay, so the recipe, and so I probably wouldn't even stir this up yet. I mean, I could. Some of you might be screaming, no, don't stir, because everybody says don't do this stuff. But I have learned that you actually can stir rice, and you actually don't even need to. My ex-husband was in the culinary field, and he learned in school that you don't need to cover rice, and you don't need to you can stir it. You don't need to leave it untouched. And I always thought that was insane, because you want steam, just like Yolanda was saying. You want the steam in there. So I just check it, make sure it's all doing okay. I prefer to make sure that it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. And so I leave it like that, like probably another 10 more minutes, and then it should be done. Let's check the chat. Oh, sliced onion, sweet onion too. So Go, you sent me a direct message. Where is the recipe, please? I am just going to show you. I started off with, you will have to watch the video because I can't really type this out to you. This is the recipe for the rice and beans. And I was telling everybody in the beginning that this was written by my mother, given to me 20 something years ago in my first marriage. When she didn't want to give me everything, she wanted to just tell me certain things and have me call her for the rest. So that would be the story behind my recipe. You can use, so this is just long grain white rice. You can use basmati rice. I've done this with basmati rice just fine. And you can do it with jasmine rice, but you have to play with a little bit of the water ratio on it. What was the other thing in the chat? Oh, sliced sweet onion too. And I know you're talking about sliced sweet onion with adding that to the cucumber salad. And yes, you can do like on a mandolin, do sliced sweet onion too. You can add that into a cucumber salad if you want. There's a lot of different ways to make a cucumber salad. Even my daughter, last year, we had so many cucumbers in the garden. She cut up cucumbers and tomatoes and onions and put them in a big bowl and did Italian dressing. And she let that sit for a day, which I think is a pretty Southern way of doing a cucumber salad. Just the German way is cucumbers. But you can also add the sweet onion too. There's a lot of German ways to doing cucumber salad. And caraway seeds, I think you can put in there as well, and black pepper, salt, but it's pretty much vinegar and oil mix. So
they want to know if they can use brown rice for this.
So I have played with this, but I haven't played with it with brown rice, I don't think. Um, I would imagine if you want to play with it a little bit, you could use brown rice because you would I would lower the temperature when you're doing it, and because it has to cook a little bit longer, so you don't want it to burn too much just because it has to cook a little bit longer to cook I mean, everything you're putting in there is cooked, but um, I can imagine you could. I haven't played with it that way. I've played with it more of I've like deboned chicken and added chicken in and cooked it while it was cooking. I've cooked the sausage just because I have also cooked the sausage separately and strained it to get the grease off because sometimes it could make it too greasy and too heavy if you have people that have reflux and heartburn issues. So I've cooked the sausage separately and then mixed it in, like when I'm cooking the rice, just because I think there's a flavor that comes with cooking it all together. Um, I've taken the chicken and shredded it and I've cooked it in there with it, but it was already cooked. I've done ground beef. Oh, you can also add those green olives to this. I've seen those green olives cut up and added to this, which gives it that like Spanish flair to have the green olives as like a garnish or side. So I have seen that. Or what do I have in the fridge? I have those. I would add capers. I probably would even add some capers because I have like capers in the fridge. And you can add capers. The gandule beans, which are like pigeon peas, but like if you go to the islands, you have rice with gandule beans. That's a really yummy way to do this. And actually, the chickpeas were really yummy way to do this too. We haven't had it with chickpeas in a long time. And I double it and I do like I've done 2 cans of beans and 4 cups of rice, still only 4 cups of water, and it's come out great. You were asking if I could do spring onions. I'm gonna say you can. I don't see why not. I think that's why I kind of went with this by itself as the base, because I think everything else that you want to add, you can. And when you start learning like the science a little bit behind rice, behind cooking things like with rice, there's the science between like rinsing the rice, and I grew up, we never rinsed rice, and my mother's rice always came out just fine. So I've rinsed rice here and I've not rinsed rice. I have found that if I pre-cook it a little bit like I do before I add the water, that it kind of helps open up the grain of the rice so that it absorbs the water easier. I will tell you the fine art. There's a fine art to making Turkish rice. And so they consider a woman that can make Turkish rice is quite sought after. I guess I could say makes you a better wife or something like that. There's a thing about Turkish women that can make rice. Forget it. That's it. That's the one for you. So I don't think we've had any Turkish ladies, Paula, make their rice, because that would be like excellent, and I've played with it. I've tried here a little bit. I've added a couple of things and I'm like, all right, so let me just saute it in butter longer. Let me add some butter, then saute it and then add the water. I'm like, nope, still not it. And I think I'm afraid of how much butter, because I've heard that there's quite a bit of butter in Turkish rice. And I know it can taste buttery. And I think I'm afraid to know exactly how much butter goes into that. But I do know that would be the rice that we all need to really learn how to cook, because that one does not require any gravy in this house. When I bring home Turkish rice, nobody needs gravy. When I make white rice or yellow rice, it's always, where's the gravy? So, but the Turkish rice is good enough.
We'll have to see if we can find somebody to make us Turkish rice for next year.
We're going to need somebody to make Turkish rice. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that would be good. So it is really starting to smell very good in here. And I've got like 4 or 5 minutes left. So I think Yolanda, I had a question for you. You said Yolanda Lomax, you said you do the aluminum foil over the pot first, and then you put the lid on. Do you do that with white rice, or do you do that with yellow rice too? I was curious if you could answer that.
You're asking Yolanda?
Yes, I am. I'm waiting to see if she's gonna. I figure, can she give me her secrets? Because sometimes I tell you, making rice can be very tricky, both white and yellow. Okay. And do you do that every time? And then I will tell you what I would love for somebody to make on here one time next year, is we used to have, there's a place in Tampa that makes it. I forget what the name of the place is called. It'll come to me in a minute. But it's the traditional like Spanish soup that has the pieces of chicken, and it has the whole pieces of corn on the cob cut and put in there. It has the chunks of plantain put in there, and it has like, think a little tiny noodle of some sort. Wasn't rice. It was like a little tiny noodle of some sort. But there are times that I just really crave and want that. And I don't know what that was called. And I want to say there was a restaurant in Tampa that would make that. I'm going to get that. Oh, it would be like, even if you didn't have the whole piece of the chicken, even if it was just like some slices of chicken in there, but it was chicken and chunks of plantain and chunks of, growing up, we had the soup that had the corn on the cob in the soup, and it was in slices, probably like 4 or 5 kernels wide in there, and you pick it up and you eat it, and it was like phenomenal. Oh, Persian rice. Yummy.
Yes, someone was saying that their friend who's from Persia makes fantastic rice.
Yeah. And yes, is yes, that crusty part is sought after. It's given to the guests of honor. And I think it's the funniest thing, because when it does that in here, my kids are like, oh, and they're scraping it off and throwing it out. I'm like, wait, no, you have to understand. You're not supposed to throw that out. That's supposed to be like the best part. So, and they're like, look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, oh, I've done nothing to instill your culture. Gosh, what's wrong with me? So you can let this, so I will tell you, and here is my mother's instruction. Not for nothing, people. Here, so you can see it. Cook for a half to 1 hour. And she does say, do not open lid. Cooking for a half to 1 hour. So I don't know who in the right mind.
How do you know, if you're not supposed to open the lid?
I don't know who in your right mind was going to cook rice for an hour on the stove. I have never. That would be very much burning it and having it sit there for forever. So I start with 20 minutes and I go from there. And so, oh, you cook your rice in the oven. So Yolanda, what Saturday next year would you like to do a rice demo? Because you would be probably phenomenal. Let's do some rice and get it cooked. You know that the Turkish ladies, actually, when we've had food festivals, they have yeah, I know, good way to get a call back for details, right? I could probably even call her now and go, how long am I supposed to cook this for again? I always call her and I say, how many cans of beans to rice? Is it 1 to 1? Is it 2 to 1? Like, how many again? It's but the Turkish ladies for our festivals have learned actually how to cook the rice in the oven in the big trays. And because I keep these for my chickens, those big trays that I have stacked up there, those big long trays. The Turkish ladies have actually learned how to cook the rice in the oven in those, so that when we make rice for festivals, it's so much easier than cooking it on a pot in the stove. And I find this so fascinating that they can do this and it comes out wonderful. Or we have one of those outside burners that you put the big pot on, and they have cooked 20 pounds of rice or something out in that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, y'all are phenomenal. So, I mean, I guess it's true. I mean, if you can make rice, you can make anything. So I probably would, so this is at 20 minutes. Whoop. So this is at 20 minutes, and I'm not used to it being so little because I usually make a lot more. And so this is what it looks like. And you see why the picture was hard to give you, Paula, because it does kind of look a lot like the picture. And so you kind of pretty much have it right there. There's your rice and beans.
It's foggy.
I know I'm fogging up the lens. I know. I don't know what else to do.
It looks really, really good though.
All right. And so there's your rice and beans. And you can see there's my burning my stomach to show you all my stuff stuck to the bottom. I'm trying to pull it over to show you. And I will tell you, I mean, I think just because sometimes rice can be hard, sometimes if I've had an issue, I've added like a half a cup of water in here. My mother's friend Elsie taught her how to make this, and she would add a little bit of water in here, sometimes stir it around and put the lid on it for like 5 more minutes. And honestly, that water would put the lid on and keep the steam in, and that water would help to just steam it up some more and help it to finish cooking. I don't know. I mean, I just play with it. Sometimes I'll give it to everybody. I'm sorry, it's a little crunchy at the end. I don't know what else to do. Yes, I know those Dutch ovens, they cook so evenly. They really can be good.
So what I usually do, Christina, when I'm making rice with other stuff in it, is if it has a liquid in it, I'll pour that into a cup and then finish it off with water.
Yeah.
So that I still get my 2-to-1 ratio. But
yeah.
Like I'll put chicken in a, if it's canned chicken and it has that stock, that broth, I'll half a cup of that, and then I finish it off with water, and so that you still get that 2-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just know this is what we were always taught, was like, it's there, it's a thicker liquid. I mean, I don't know, it's what we were.
So all right, guys, that's it. I think
that's it. All right, I had a question. I just have one question. You really can't see these two fridges well. All right, so this is our everyday fridge, and then this is our extra fridge that everybody decided needed to come in here and be next to this one. So when you couldn't find what you were looking for in this one, you didn't have to go far to find what you're looking for in this one. So this is my question. I probably don't have the best lighting for this. Do both of these look white? I refer to this one as the white fridge, and this one is the almond fridge. And I'm curious if you all can see. You really can't see much in the difference.
No, I mean, they do look different. They're white. They're both white.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have to do a different picture for you. This one is almond, and this one is.
I would say the 2-door and the 1-door.
Oh, maybe I should refer to it as that.
Or the right or the left, because you're when you're looking at the fridge.
I can't do right or left because it might be right or left looking this way or this way.
Oh, that is true. But you have a 2-door fridge. You have
1 door. Yeah. Wait. But I got, see, and I tell everybody there is, yes, the left is white and the right is almond. I'm like, if you were delivering a white fridge to somebody and you brought them this one here that is almond, and you put this in their kitchen, it would not match the rest of their appliances, and they'd be upset because there's almond colors and then there is white. I'm like, there's appliance white, and then there's almond. And I want to thank you, Kay, that I am right. I know it's not easy. So, and this was not my original house, so I have to make do with what we've got around here. And I found that fridge for $400.
Wow.
And it worked out well.
All right, I am going to stop the recording now.
Thank you, you guys.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I hope you all had fun with